To the Tuesday, July 20th meeting of the City Property Committee. This meeting is open to the public, and persons who wished to participate remotely were advised to request remote attendance by noon today. I believe we may have some officials participating remotely, but we do not have, I believe, any members of the public commenting remotely. If there is anyone in the audience who wishes to comment, no, all officials here. This is being recorded by FATV for public broadcast, audio and video recording. Please be advised. We have 3 items on the agenda. Councillor Squalia.
I'll also be recording.
Oh, okay, certainly. And the first item on the agenda is 10621. I'll take 10621. No, let's do those separately. That's Robert M. Jokola, Superintendent of Schools, to declare 253 Laurel Street as excess surplus property. Mr. Jokola, would you like to present this to the committee?
Sure. Good evening, councilors. 256 Rollstone, is that the address again? 253 Rollstone is the remaining building standing on almost the entire parcel of Rollstone Road. A few years ago, one building that had not been used by the school department was demolished.
Yeah.
And what remains is the former location of the school building maintenance, and it was also used as a warehouse. Nowadays, our deliveries are going straight to schools. We have no need for a warehouse, and we temporarily have a workspace over at the Flat Quinusnock Road property at this time. But the building is imploding, and we are going through the process. The school committee declared this excess surplus property, and as is the process, we come before you tonight to declare it, to have the city declare it excess and to take appropriate action as you see fit.
All right, thank you. Just to clarify, the record reflects Laurel Street. You said Rollstone.
Rollstone, Laurel. So it's part of the Laurel Rollstone parcel, I think at one point.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make
Yes.
sure that we had the right one identified in the agenda. All right, Councillor Squalia?
Superintendent Jokola, you said it was imploding? Is that what you said?
Yes, it's the roof, and I don't know if Mr. Shalfo can talk more as to the building is falling apart.
The roof's caving in? Yes. The walls?
I don't have any engineering on it, but the building is not inhabitable at this time.
Okay.
Councillor Van Hassingen?
Have you done any work to estimate costs to either stabilize the building or take it down, just to give us a general idea?
We have done neither.
Okay.
Did I see Councillor Schultz?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, there were a lot of department heads that weighed in, and they expressed interest in being able to store things at that school. Do you think it'd be worth fixing the roof just for storage?
We don't believe so.
You don't think
We
so?
believe that the long-term deterioration would require substantial structural improvements.
Okay.
Councillor Boschman?
I make a motion that we accept this as surplus, but I want to say one thing before I make my motion. If I accept this as surplus property, I want to make sure that the record states that I think it's 25 feet wide by 40 feet, 25 by 25, be separated off of that lot for people across the street on Rollstone Street, so they have the opportunity to buy it if we put it up for auction. They use part of that lot right now for parking spaces right across the street, and they don't have any. I don't mind putting the whole thing up for auction, but I would like to have a little section to see if they want to buy it, not give it to them, buy it. If they don't want to buy it, then let the whole lot go up for auction. But a section should be to find out the tenants across, the people across the way. I think there's 2 houses, if I'm not mistaken, that use that lot, that parking area. If you would go down Rollstone's right there,
So, Counselor, in order to do that in any kind of binding way, you would have to move an amendment to the petition at minimum. I'm not sure about the legalities of it. I'd have to consult with Solicitor Pusateri, but at a minimum, you'd need to move an amendment.
Then, I guess I put an amendment that if we give this for surplus, the two properties that are using it, I don't want them to buy the whole lot. You know what I'm talking about, right, Bob? Just a little section where they park their cars right now. Just that section. And I don't want to give it to them. I want them to buy it. And if they don't want to buy it, then if it goes for auction, then it's up to the people that buy it if they want to sell it or rent it to them.
Okay, I have a motion for amendment. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and
Speaking on the
second
motion?
on the motion.
I agree with the petition, and I think we should declare this excess property. I think the proposal to amend goes a little too far than what we can act right now prudently. I think this takes a little more investigation about what is the best use of the property, what we legally can do, whether or not it would qualify for the side yard program or some other mechanism for selling it to the abutters if they use it. I think that's something we need to give a little more attention to before we adopt it. So I would recommend that we consider that separately at a future time.
Councilor Squalia?
Yes, I agree with Councilor Van Huizenga. Can't we also, we put this out to surplus property. Won't this come before us again after any action is taken? Any an
will.
RFP proposal or a demolition of the building, perhaps? Maybe that wouldn't come before us, but any sale of the property would come before us again.
Yes, this is just the first step. This is not a final disposition of the property. And I would agree with both councilors that I think it's a valid thing to investigate whether there's a possibility to carve off a piece for parking for nearby lots, but I think it would be premature to mandate that at this phase when we're not actually doing anything irreversible with the property in the first place.
Well, may I speak, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
According, to let you know, this property will not go into a side yard sale pit. It's bigger than, you can put a couple houses, if not condominiums up there or units. It's big enough. It's how many acres, Bob? I think 2 or 3? 1.5 acres. So, and the way I talk, when I talk to the city clerk, she says that once we declare it as surplus, they get it and they can put it up on the, they're going to tear down the building and then they can put it, or RFP, have somebody buy it with the building on it and tear it down themselves if they want it one way or the other, or they're going to auction it off. And then if they auction it off, then it would be up to the party that buys it. And I asked her, geez, I really feel bad for the people across the street that are using it. And I'm not asking for a lot. I'm only asking for a small section. I think it's 18 feet. I went to 20 feet wide because it's 18 feet long, the driveway. I think Councilor Hasenbeck can vouch on that because he was on the planning. And it's 9 feet wide, and I went to 10 feet. So 2 cars, so you figure 10, 20 by 25.
So, Councillor, anything like that, any sale, auction, whatever, any gift or sale or anything of city property would have to come back to this
It has
committee.
to come back to us?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
This is not a blank check to the city saying this is surplus, do whatever you want with it, and we approve. This is just saying we agree that the city doesn't need to hang on to this for city purposes.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we accept this as surplus.
All right, so first we have your motion to amend. Are you
Oh,
withdrawing that?
I'm withdrawing it then.
Unanimous consent to withdraw the motion to amend? All right, and Councilor Squalia?
Just to clarify, if we do approve this as surplus property, it will come before us if the city wanted to, say, auction it off, as Councilor Boseman suggested. It would come before us before that.
I believe that is correct. The timeline precisely hasn't really come up recently, but at the very least, there would be a final approval from the council required before any sale took place or anything.
Because I would like to see that avenue investigated for parking for residents across the street that don't have any.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And I would be happy to have that reflected in the record.
All right.
And that will then proceed from there. Councilor Schultz.
Can we offer an amendment that we want that investigation to take place before the city decides that they're going to auction it off, and it's before us for final approval, and we haven't done due diligence on investigating Councilor Boschman's proposal?
I'm not sure that we can actually mandate that, and so I'm not sure that it makes sense as an official vote beyond putting it in the record as sort of our consensus as a committee. It seems that that is a consensus from what I can tell.
Because that is a very congested area there that
Right.
It certainly would be helpful to the people in that area to have that ability to park in that space.
Mr. Skrowski? You can if you like, or speak very loudly.
He doesn't yell like me.
So this property has been in discussions with our NICE committee, our problem property task force, for quite some time, and I think if this were to go through, my department would be in charge of the disposition process. I think previously when we've taken properties and sold them through RFP, the request for proposal did come in front of the council for approval beforehand, and we certainly could even, were we to use the RFP process, which is sort of our thought process here, as opposed to just going to the highest bidder. This is a really important site. We want to make sure whatever happens there gets done right. We could have as part of the criteria something related to, solving for the question that you had mentioned, Councilor Boschman, and certainly if you would like to connect subsequent to this meeting and talk through in more detail, we could work to iron that out. Certainly something, I'll commit to for my office, looking further into investigating this issue.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Schultz.
I was just going to say, when we do have the city cleanups every year, that is a nice parcel, the parcel that Councilor Boschman is talking about, to have the city cleanup in Ward 1, the ward I represent. So it would be nice to have that piece of the land available to the city as well. So something to think about, Tom, as well. That we have used that lot for many years now, since the building was taken down.
Councilor Van Hazinga?
I think it is a very good intent to keep those residents in mind and see if we can do something and investigate that further. But I would caution that it's going to cost a lot of money to either tear the building down or to redevelop it. And we want to be careful not to hamstring ourselves and make those unfeasible by subdividing the parcel and not consider the utility of the parcel afterwards. So that it may not be worth it to a developer to redevelop the building, or to purchase the site if we clear it and redevelop it if the utility of the site is compromised by the subdivision. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I think it's a good thing to look into, but we do have to be careful and consider it when we come to that decision.
I just got one thing to say. So it will rest everybody's mind. I'm not asking that we take a quarter of an acre off the property. I'm not asking for that. I'm saying there's 4 cars that park there. So if you go 10, 20, 30, 40 feet long by 25 feet wide, that's all. And if they want to go around it, they can. But I also want to repeat my statement. I'm not here to give it away. If they want to purchase it, that piece, that 40 by 25, all fine and dandy. I'm not going to give it away. I understand that we can make money on the deal.
Councilor, just because we seem to be in agreement that we should investigate this, but also in agreement that the petition that's actually before us should move forward, I'm going to ask that we act on that and save discussion of what should be done with the parcel for a later date.
All right. Thank you.
So you had made a motion?
Yep.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second to declare or to approve this petition to declare this parcel as surplus property. Speaking on the motion, if there's no objection, we'll take this under unanimous consent. Seeing none, it passes. Next item, 10721, Robert M. Jokela, Superintendent of Schools, to declare 44 Winoosknock Road as excess surplus property. Mr. Jokola?
Hi, good evening again. 44 Winoosknock Road was used for many years by a former educational collaborative, FLAC, now known as Keystone. I think about 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, they made a decision to move their programming to Leominster. They looked at the option of making repairs to that building, but considered that the repairs were, too costly, and they decided to move to Leominster. The building requires substantial renovations. It's really not functional for school purposes, school children. Right now, we have moved the school building maintenance workshop temporarily to Winoosknock Road. And at the point when this property, assuming it's accepted by the city this evening, and whatever the final disposition is, our school building maintenance would find another location to have their workshop.
All right, Councilor Boschman?
I make a motion that we do not send this as surplus, that we keep it in-house.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second. Speaking on the motion, Councilor Van Hazinga?
I think this parcel would be of greater benefit if we declare it surplus and allow it to be developed. It is a very sizable parcel, about 7.5 acres.
Yep.
It's on a prominent corner. I think there could be a worthwhile development that would benefit the city, and I think, frankly, the land is probably worth money as a redevelopment site. So I would not support this motion.
Councilor Squalia?
So the facilities director for the city commented a long, full-page comments regarding how he finds that this building could be valuable to the city for both storage for, looks like the building department would like it for storage, long-term storage for the clerk, treasurer, assessor, other city departments. The recreation department could remove all the sports equipment storage from the DPW building, freeing up space at the DPW garage. And then it talks about the facilities department at the DPW, areas to train, manage, supervise people and projects, et cetera, et cetera. I assume the facilities director of the city has walked through this building and has an idea that
Yes.
the building is within reason of being able to be utilized by the city. I would love to hear from him.
Councilor Boschman?
I was down there today for that particular reason. I went down to the Winoosknock. I believe that we can sell that property at any time, at any given date, if we don't need it, at any time, at any given date. So the city is not going to lose out. I believe that that building will play a major asset to the city of Fitchburg. It can be used, Councilor Squally said, and I read the same notes that everybody else read. The Parks Department asked for it. The city clerk says yes. The building commissioner says yes. There's stuff in there. We can get probably some other stuff in there. They got a little, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't get a tour of it. I called too late because I was cutting my grass, but when I did call, the guy left. He was gone already. I wanted to take a tour. They even have a woodworking shop in there. I think we're too much in a hurry to get rid of our properties. I think that this major property on that particular corner lot would bring us plenty of money if we want to get rid of it. I think we should hold off, save it, see what we can use it for the storage for now. According to the Parks and Recreation, he wants to make some of the rooms classrooms for different things. So why give it away? Why sell it right now? Because we got it, we can get rid of it. We can sell it anytime we want. There's nothing holding us back. Let's wait and focus and say, this is a pretty good property for us. It's all on one level. They got a downstairs, a workshop. I didn't go inside the building. I'm not going to lie to you. I did not. I walked around the building. I'm hoping that when they give it to us, they clean it up before they give it to us. But other than that, I think we're in a hurry to get rid of it, and all we're seeing is dollar signs, and we put it in the general fund, and we're going to blow the money anyway. So why don't we just wait and hold on to it? Let's let the parks use it. Let's and fix it up a little bit, because if we use our head right, we got a gem right there in the corner that we can really develop it properly and still have a nice area. So I'm asking that we do not make it surplus at this time. Let's really think about it. That's my goal. Thank you.
Councilor Schultz?
Yeah, I appreciate your point, Councilor Boschman, but at the same time, I agree with Councilor Van Hazinga. That's a very valuable property, 7.5 acres at this point in time. That property could really bring some money into the city, and I'm sure Tom could find somebody that would want to develop that parcel. I mean, if we were only looking at storage, I mean, couldn't we find someplace else to store materials? I mean, that's a lot of acreage for storing materials. And so that's the point I want to make.
Mr. Dokla?
So I understand from conversations with the city auditor that if or when the city did decide to dispose of or sell that building, that because it was a school property, the sale proceeds would go back towards school capital projects. So just for the councilor's education.
So it would not go into the general fund?
Yeah.
Now, I just want to point out to you, I did talk to Bob this morning, early this morning, I think. I called him, but he was waiting to call me too. I asked a question about your school, not on South Street, and you told me about that building because I asked you, and you said you would rather not use that building for storage because of the asbestos tiles, and it'll compromise the other building. And that's the only storage areas we have besides City Hall. Again, we'll be able to get the money no matter how we look at it. And, you know, our luck as a city is not that good in selling property. We were very lucky to get what we did on the other stuff, but our luck is not that good. Our track record is not that good. I'm asking, again, that we hold off. Let the school department give it to the city, and let's see what the facilitator and everybody else thinks, and then we can go and take and sell it, if that's the case. But hold off. What's the hurry? What's the rush? That's all I'm saying.
So I have a couple questions. First, Mr. Jokela, if you know, about how much does it cost the city in maintenance costs just to prevent deterioration of the building at this point?
Do we have that number, Craig?
Currently, no operating heating system in it. There's a small gas heater that heats the 2 rooms that are downstairs where the school building maintenance currently has their wood shop. And then-
Chair, can you come up to the thing? I can't hear him.
Yeah, can you come up? It'll make the recording easier too. Thank
So
you.
currently, there is no functioning heating system that heats the entire building.
I understand.
And that's the concern with the asbestos tiles, particularly when the weather gets cold, the adhesive peels up and the tiles start to crack and move. So there's a small gas heater that heats the 2 rooms downstairs where the school building maintenance department has occupied a small wood shop and then the adjoining office.
So basically, what I'm asking is if we were to hypothetically hang on to the building and it were just to do nothing until we figure out what we're doing with it, how much would it cost us per month or per year to just let it sit,
Right.
basically?
I don't have the figure. I mean, currently, it's just costing us for the utilities and the internet.
Okay.
Yep.
Second, about how much of the lot is covered by the building at this point, like relative to the size of the lot?
I don't know if we have that as far as the actual building compared to the lot.
Because if the lot's about 7 acres, I don't imagine we have a 7-acre building.
We don't. I have the building records there as well, but I guess one other thing when we're talking about I think it's like 7.3 acres in total, a good chunk of that is in the wetlands. So that probably cuts off about 3 acres of developability. We'd have to do a full delineation of the wetlands, and then within 100 feet of the buffer zone, you couldn't develop in that area. But I should have brought the property card up with me, and I'm wondering if others here have it, but it's relatively small in the grand scheme of things on the footprint.
Okay,
there.
so it's a fairly small building on a large lot, even taking the wetlands into account. And the last question I wanted to ask is, Mr. Hare, does the mayor's office have any comment on this matter? Is there any, given that many department heads have expressed interest in this, has the mayor considered these different requests and decided to agree to send it to surplus, or is this something that just really hasn't crossed his desk yet?
Councilors, as far as I'm aware, this is the first we're hearing of other departments having interest in the property. We were following the recommendation of the school department, and I believe and are still committed to following the recommendation of the school department.
Okay, which is perfectly fair. I just wanted to check and see if there was any thought process beyond what we had already heard. All right, Councilor Squalia.
Yeah, I just, again, I believe that we have hired a facilities director for the city, for all of our buildings, for all of our facilities, and he makes a very compelling argument why we should keep the building. So I would either vote against making this surplus property, or I would vote to hold this here, and then I'd like to hear from the facilities director, or visit the building and see the condition and know the approximate cost to be able to utilize that building in the ways that the multiple city departments request to be able to use it. I'd like to know what that cost would be. I feel like right now I'd be making an uninformed decision to just vote it as excess surplus property without doing that due diligence.
Thank you. So I think, no, I'll let Councilor Van Hazinga go first.
Well, I do think that is an important consideration. That while there are departments who would like to use the building, it would take a substantial investment from the city to make this possible. So if we do want to entertain that as a possibility, maybe we put this on hold and get some more information and then make a decision.
I make a motion to put it on hold.
Well, we already have a motion.
Oh, we have a motion? All right.
Yes, we do. And I apologize, actually. I deviated slightly from protocol in asking people to speak while we had a motion in front of us. I make mistakes occasionally. That said, I think when we do, in zoning, there's a concept that comes up frequently called the highest and best use of a parcel. And I think when you consider the specific needs that the departments have identified and that the facilities director has identified, storage, classrooms, I'm not convinced that those uses, which basically just require space, there's nothing unique about the building, they just need a space, that given the small size of the building and the large size of the lot, I'm not convinced that those are the highest and best uses of the parcel, because we would essentially be leaving 3 to 4 developable acres doing nothing solely to take advantage of the fact that we have 4 walls and a roof on the lot at the moment, which there have got to be other places that we could find storage for people who need storage, and find empty rooms to use as classrooms. So I will not be voting in favor of retaining this property at this time. That said, I have a motion and second to retain the property. To clarify, a yes vote will retain the property. A no vote will, well, not do anything except reject the motion, but then we will have it before the committee again. All in favor? All opposed?
I was in favor, I'm sorry.
You're in favor of retaining the property?
Yeah, because I want to put it on hold.
Okay, so that is a 3-2 vote to retain the property. All right, that passes. The recommendation of the committee will be to retain. One moment. All right, next item on the agenda, 10821, Megan P. Donahue, Executive Director, Fitchburg Redevelopment Authority, to authorize the mayor to sign and deliver to the Fitchburg Redevelopment Authority the entire release of easement as outlined in the enclosed petition. This was, I'm sorry, we have Ms. Donahue remote. Welcome, and you can certainly introduce this to the committee.
Thank you, and thank you for letting me do this remotely too. My name is Megan Donahue, and I'm the
Can't hear her.
I'm sorry, can you wait just a moment? FATV, can we crank the volume on the Zoom call? All right, can you try again, Ms. Donahue?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you a bit better now.
Okay, thank you again for allowing me to do this remotely. My name is Megan Donahue, and I'm the Executive Director of the Fitchburg Redevelopment Authority, and I'm here to talk about an easement that we have at 0 Airport Road. We have been, over the course of the past year or so, in talks with Eagle Trucking, which is an abutter to our property, to sell 3.6 acres. And we are just about ready to close the deal. We have done an A&R, and we are doing some engineering work, or I should say they have been doing that. But part of the process is that there has been an easement from the city on the entire property, but we were looking at the 3.6 acres to release easement to mine sand. I've been in talks with Nick Bostonetto, and he and I understand he's there, he and I have been talking about releasing the entire property in terms of the easement for mining sand. So I don't know if you want to expand any more on this, but this is what I'm here in front of.
Thank you. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Commissioner Bostonetto?
Yeah, that being said, we have no further need for the sand and mining operations on the site. We're willing to release that part of it. However, we are keeping access and stormwater conveyance rights, so it's only a partial release. Thank
Okay.
you.
Councillor Boschman.
Mr. Commissioner, are you saying to this council that your intention is to put nothing but salt on the roads?
Yes, Councilor. Well, first of all, the material being mined at the airport pit is a silty clay material that's really not good for road use anyway. We have moved towards salt usage in most of the city due to various factors, including cost, level of service, and MS4 permitting requirements. The sand that we are using now is actually a manufactured sand that we're still using in some of the hillier areas of the city, and that's a much better quality sand mixed with salt. So we're moving away from sand completely over the years. This is just one step towards it.
Okay. Mr. Chair, nothing for the commissioner. I do want to say something. My only, I'll vote for in favor of this, but I just want to make it very clear, and I talked to Tom, I want to make sure that if the redevelopment sells that property, that there's an access road from Simons to the property for Amazon. I think we should be pushing for that. I think we're asking for a chaos situation down there on Interville Road. And then that's a perfect location for them to come out and onto Airport Road. So I'll vote for it with the understanding that that's going to be part of the program. Other than that, it won't get my support. I want that because I lived in the area all my life in Fitchburg, and Bemis Road is tough to get by. And I think Mr. Councilor Schultz and everybody else agrees, and especially if you're coming out of Interville Road, it's very tough. So.
Mr. Skorowski?
So just to note, that was a condition of the site plan approval for Amazon, that if and when the redevelopment authority were to sell the site, they'd entertain such an easement. It's not without its challenges. It doesn't just go right from the Amazon facility to the redevelopment authority property. There's a landfill in between that's owned by Simons International. That would have to be figured out, but you know, certainly something we're looking into, and actually the the developer who owns 135 Intervale has actually made a presentation this morning to the redevelopment authority about potential reuse of that site. So I think we do see some opportunities there, and certainly it's something we are exploring along with the redevelopment authority.
Okay. All right, that's all I asked, and I want to say thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No problem.
Marvelous job.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Speaking on the motion, if there is no objection, we'll take this under unanimous consent. Seeing none, it is approved, and that concludes our agenda.
Move to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn?
All right, motion and second to adjourn. If there is no objection, we will be adjourned.
Thank you.